Hi, this is Jay LaRose of Saw 3, Insidious, Devil's Carnival, and Repo kind of fame. I don't know, not fame, but hey, you're listening to the Tim, O, and Harley Show. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Tim, O, and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim, O, and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there's my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hacksaw Harley.
That's me, Hacksaw Duggan, or Jigsaw Duggan. There you go.
Hello, all you deep thinkers. Listen, Ben Harley every week has sounded like he has had a voice box replacement. He's had a...
Right.
He's had a transplant from another human, basically, into his...
That's me.
On Harley's end, I know this might be a shock to everybody, but Ben Harley is not an audio engineer. He is just a simple screen printer.
It's a simple screen printer.
Yes, and I am a simple audio engineer. So on Harley's end, he's having some problems. We're having some problems finding an audio solution to Mr. Ben Harley's microphone on his end. So we're trying to make things work, and we're experimenting with some different things. So he was on the space station a couple weeks back, and he tried their microphone even. So please don't think that Mr. Ben Harley is being lazy or doesn't care about the audio. He went to space, folks. Yes, just to try something different. So bear with us, and we'll do the best we can. And maybe you don't notice. If not, great, super, we're doing our job. If you do notice, we're making excuses for you right there.
Yes.
So either way, Mr. Ben Harley, the show must go on. Yeah. Is this correct?
You got to go on, Timo. You must go on, even if my caramello tones can't be richly recorded. That's okay, though.
We're doing our best. God damn it, we're doing our best.
Timo's doing his best. I'm telling you. I'm just here with my gravelly cat bag full of cats voice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Harley, speaking of bag full of cats, whatever the hell that means, you're actually getting back to work, so you're getting busy.
Yes.
So the corona hasn't kept you down. You're getting back into action. You're getting back into a lot of work, which is good. Good to see. Let's talk about some things that we have watched, or at least I have watched this week, because you're back to Popeye land. You're back to pulling squeegees.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
over
long hours
screens.
Standing. Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. How's that knee feeling, by the way?
Legs. What's that, bud?
How's that knee feeling after you're standing for hours on end?
It's really angry with me right now. It is very, it got so angry with me, it started to swell. Yeah, it got angry with me. Oh boy, yeah.
Be careful.
That's my repaired knee.
I know, that's why I said be careful, man. You got a receipt for that, right?
Yes, yeah.
I'm not sure how easy it is to return or not. You might want to look at the return policy on that. So
yeah, exactly. Can I get an upgrade?
right. Yeah. Let's see here. Well, I'll start from 2017. How about that?
Yeah.
From 2017, watch the movie Happy Death Day.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've heard about this film.
Yeah, Is it? It's fairly new, right?
Well, 2017. Yeah, I mean, it's and it already has a sequel. It's got like a part 2 already to it.
Already, okay.
I'll tell you what. This movie is not made for us. It's definitely made for the youths of today. But I'll tell you what. It's got good music, good acting, cinematography is really good. It's really, really well done. Again, just not made for us old farts. All right? But it has a very familiar, playful spirit to it that you might recognize from movies from the 1980s.
Okay.
I felt that. I felt like it was taking the spirit of that and using gags and jokes and stuff that would be more modern, let's say.
Okay.
But it was okay. And I think that whoever this movie was geared for, the younger folks in America, they probably like it a lot. I would think they would like it a lot. So it was entertaining enough so I didn't get mad at it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And it takes place. A lot of it takes place in a sorority house. So I was thinking of my pal, Mr. Ben Harley, who a lot of his story took place in sorority houses too.
Yes.
So anyway, so not too bad. I'm kidding. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's see here from 1973. What else is from 1973, Mr. Ben Harley?
Tim O'Saban.
I am. That's correct.
That's
Me. Right. Watched Day of the Dolphin.
Day of the Dolphin.
You ever seen this? George C. Scott. George C. Scott and Trish Vanderveer, the two stars from The Changeling, who said, hey, screw it, let's just get married. So they were actually married in real life. So they starred in a few movies together. It's a movie about George C. Scott is on an island and he has a research place where he's researching dolphins and their intelligence. And basically he gets... the dolphins get kidnapped and the government tries to use them for evil military doings and stuff like that.
Laser beam eyes and stuff?
Well, more like strapping bombs to the top. Yes, actually, yes.
All right.
Yes, nice. Yes. Strapping bombs to the top of their head and telling them to swim over there and attach it to a boat or something.
Nice.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I've seen this movie over the years a few times. It's not something I watch constantly. It's interesting and it's different. The opening reminds me a lot of Orca, to be honest with you.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. So, not too bad. Not too bad. Let's see here. Moving on.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's not. It is. Tell you what, it is probably more interesting than it is a great film, but it's interesting enough to keep your interest for the watch time.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, it's got a really good cast too. A young Paul Sorvino is in it, and a young Edward Herrmann also is in it, along with some other people. So some good actors. Good little neat little idea. Let's see here from 1960. Watch the French film Eyes Without a Face.
Eyes Without a Face. Okay.
Yes. This is a cool movie, Mr. But it's a seminal film. From 1960. They basically it's the old my daughter's face is messed up, so I'm going to kill pretty women and pull their faces off and stick them on hers.
Yeah,
we've seen these types of mad scientist movies before, but a French film from 1960 where they're pretty much close up on pulling faces off. Yeah. You got some interesting things to look at there. So
I'm sure.
I made the comment while we were watching it that I promise you there were people passing out in the audience when they were watching this.
I bet.
But it's done really well. And the guy that plays Dickhole Mad Scientist is a tremendous performance. Tremendous Dickhole. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Just like his little facial movements and stuff. Yeah, it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch him. Let's see here. From 1980.
Okay. Ooh, that's a good year.
You're going to like this. From 1980, watch The Elephant Man.
Oh, okay. Now, that's one of your faves, right?
It is. And what's funny is my parents came over to social distance with us. And on Friday night, we sat outside, we were talking, and Angie had mentioned to my mom, that we watched The Elephant Man. And she went, oh. Now, I was 7, and I forced my parents to take me to go see this.
Oh, boy, I bet.
All I can tell you is that it's kind of legendary in our family because it was the only time in 70-some-odd years of existence that my dad came home and filled up a bourbon glass and started drinking.
Wow.
After we once saw a movie, it really bothered him. It was hard on him. It was real hard on him. But
it's a hard movie. I remember that. That's one that, like, as a kid, I went into it not expecting that at all. You know what I mean? Not at all.
Well, they advertised it
pretty close.
Yeah, it looked like a horror film, kind of. I mean, they had like the Jason Voorhees mask type thing. Of course, this was before that, but they had like the burlap sack with the eye hole in it, and it was black and white. The fact
that it was a true story for me too was like, whoa, you know, that made me gravitate towards wanting to watch it.
Right, exactly. And I told Angie, I said, I obsessed over seeing this because of the trailers, and the trailers are very spooky. They were very spooky. And I said, but I had heard before then that, now be careful, this isn't like a scary, scary movie, so don't. So I was kind of already thinking it wasn't going to be a scary movie, but by the time I got into the film, I was fine with it. I was going with it. And like you said, once you kind of realize it was about a real guy and stuff, it's still it's still a spooky story. I will say, as we were watching it, this is another case of Hollywood doing its thing. Let's put it that way. John Merrick was not, or Joseph Merrick was his real name, but Joseph Merrick, that was a version of his story. He wasn't abused that bad. He wasn't, because these freak shows and sideshows and stuff, these people made a lot of money for people.
Yes.
They were not the helpless little victims that everyone thinks, or everyone perceives them to have been.
Sure.
And and the Elephant Man definitely pushes that agenda way harder than was the truth. Although there was some moments where he was abused. Of course. We all
I'm sure. Especially probably when he was younger. I'm sure, like, when,
Yeah. So it was actually his idea to become a sideshow attraction. So, yes. And he made some money. But here's the thing with the Elephant Man, though. A lot of people don't realize, they know that David Lynch did this. And it has the same style that Eraserhead had. So this was a film he did after Eraserhead, at least a major film he did after Eraserhead. Sure. And what happened was, this movie is actually a Mel Brooks movie. And Mel Brooks, he produced a lot of films. The Doctor and the Devils. I mean, you go on and on, all kinds of genre, different types of movies. Well, Mel Brooks knew well enough to know that if he's going to direct a movie, people are going to expect Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein or High Anxiety or something like that. So he knew... Yeah. He's like William Castle when William Castle knew he couldn't direct Rosemary's Baby. He knew it wouldn't work.
Right, yeah.
So he was looking for a director. Mel Brooks wanted to make The Elephant Man. He was looking for a director. And apparently he had David Lynch bring him the reels of The Elephant Man, or I'm sorry, of Eraserhead to screen. So David Lynch took this to his house to screen. And so Mel Brooks sat in a room with David Lynch sitting outside the room, nervously pacing around like his wife was giving birth or something. And Mel Brooks is watching Eraserhead. And so Eraserhead is the only thing that David Lynch had between him and a big paying job. You can imagine David Lynch going, what on earth did I do? I can really, man. So apparently when the movie was over, the doors swung open real fast, slammed. And Mel Brooks went, where is he? And he looked and he saw David Lynch. Goes, you are a madman. I love you. And he ran over and hugged him, and he gave him a job off of Eraserhead of all things. So it's actually a Mel Brooks movie, but you could tell he just let David Lynch run with it. He said, here, this is make it the way you want. And I'm telling you, it's one of those moments where everything just simpatico worked.
Yeah.
The casting, perfect. Yeah. The black and white photography, perfect. The David Lynch bizarreness helps. It helps the story.
Yeah, it does. And it's very, very, I mean, for me as a kid, that going into that, I didn't know what to expect, which was good, but I didn't I guess let me rephrase it. I didn't expect what I got. How about that?
I'm with you.
And it was okay, though. That was another movie for me, though. I don't really watch The Elephant Man much.
Sure.
But it was one of those movies in my youth, that kind of taught me to relax and kind of go with it. You know what I mean? And you're still going to get something. I mean, and for me, that's a long movie for me, especially back then, to sit and really absorb, especially back then. I just wasn't that much into it, it just was a little bit much, but it taught me to, chill, relax, and I did enjoy it after a while. Now, it's not a very happy movie at all, And then I felt awful at the end. I was like, oh God, no, poor guy, because you do, it's like the movie Mask, man. Rocky Dent. You start to really feel for these people, man. And what a it's a great movie. What a good movie, and plus two back then, Tim, for me. Though I liked older black and white movies, it was kind of hard for me a little to watch a newer movie that was black and white because I didn't really understand it. I'm like, why are we going back? I mean, I just didn't really, but in watching that and other movies, then I'm like, I get it. Okay. Now I start to understand, which was okay though. And I'm glad because a lot of guys and people that I knew, they didn't really want to sit around and watch The Elephant Man. They didn't, you know what I mean? Like they just, and then some did, some of my friends, we did watch it, but. It's just, but it was it's a good movie. I can't say it was an uplifting movie for me as a kid, but I did enjoy, what I was seeing, and it did, like I said, it did help me as a movie fan.
Sure. It's a bridge. It's a bridge to artsy fartsy kind of stuff.
Right.
It really is. I mean, because it can show you how a movie can be really heavy on the artsy side, but still tell you a coherent story that tugs at your heart. And David Lynch can do that great. I mean, he made The Straight Story, which is incredibly heart-tugging and emotional. And it's a Disney movie for crying out loud, and it's just a beautiful story, though. But enjoyed watching them. I enjoyed. It was a pleasure to watch again. Let's put it that way. It's such a tremendous movie. Let's see. Moving on here, Mr. Ben Holly, from 1946. You're gonna like this. I watched Dick Tracy versus Cue Ball.
Versus who?
Versus Cue Ball.
Cue Ball. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is a Morgan Conway Dick Tracy. I like these old Dick Tracy movies. You know that. You can find almost all of them on Amazon Prime. And I implore people to do this. These are fun old cop dramas. And I'm telling you what, that girlfriend of Dick Tracy's wants him so bad, but he's always got to go fight crime. Man, every story is basically they're trying to hook up him and his lady friend, and as soon as they're about ready to do it, crime is afoot.
Yes. Oh boy, she's gonna become a crime fighter.
Right.
So she can get some. Yeah.
So good times watching that. Up next, real quick here from 1982, went back and watched Poltergeist.
Oh, nice. Yes. I've been threatening to do that to myself.
Do it. It's definitely worth it.
Does it hold up pretty good?
Oh, yeah, it does. It's edited a little funny. Like, you can tell it was, it's not perfect or anything, but the practical effects in it make you just wish for days gone by. When they were done really, really well. They
really tried and really would put forth an effort. And I know it freaked me out a little bit when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just had those parts, man. The clown, and I'm not that afraid of clowns. I mean, I manage a couple clowns, but I'm just saying that whole scene is just, man, they don't do stuff like that much anymore. You know what I mean? It's just really, just the scene itself, the way it plays out is awesome. Awesome.
There's my story about going to the theater when it was playing, and my mom wouldn't take me to go see it for some reason. I have no idea why she didn't take me to go see it. Instead, she took me to go see On Golden Pond, which I love now. Now, here's the problem.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I love it now.
I know what you're saying.
I love it now, but that's not the main problem. So the main problem is I'm going to a theater where Poltergeist is playing, and I'm going to see On Golden Pond. Now, here's the other problem.
You can hear.
Yes, Poltergeist was playing in the theater just next to us, and every thunder crack I heard, and I looked up at my mom like, this just, and she knew too. She just knew. I ended up watching it with her on HBO like about 6 months later or something. Anyway, let's see. Moving on, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yeah.
Now, I know we both watched something that it was hard for me to watch, but this stuff really hits home for my pal Ben Harley over here. My pal Harley, he does not like this kind of stuff. So we have been watching The Dark Side of the Ring, which I've been enjoying. They've been documentaries about professional wrestling, especially some older stuff too that Harley and I grew up kind of with.
Sure.
But this one is the Owen Hart episode. Now, anybody doesn't know who Owen Hart is, if you've ever heard of Bret Hart, it's Bret Hart's little brother.
Yes.
And he used to do this thing. He was the Blue Blazer?
Blue Blazer, yes.
So they didn't really know what to do.
Like a comic booky type
he had a mask.
Type. Yeah.
It was kind of a goofy superhero. He was was almost like so milk toasty, it was kind of funny. So they didn't. Creative really didn't know what to do with Owen Hart sometimes. So they would do stuff like, it was almost like Mick Foley sometimes. They'd have a dude love. Sure. They didn't know what to do with the guy. So the Blue Blazer, one of his things, he would come down from the rafters on like a rope, basically rappel down almost, from the rafters. Sting used to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, too. Well, I think that's what they were kind of doing, because at first the Blue Blazer would just kind of come running out, and then I think at this point they were trying to sort of somewhat make fun of Sting at the time too, because that's, the WCW thing was going, and that was going big. Oh, that Sting thing was huge at that time.
Right.
He'd appear on the rafters.
Yes. So there was a pay-per-view in Kansas City. Yeah. And he was supposed to come down this rope, and it didn't work, and he fell. Yes. And he fell to his death in the middle of the pay-per-view in front of everybody. And they kept the show going afterwards. Now,
Yes.
I was at the time I was helping Don Bailey run 313.
Yeah.
And we used to watch a lot of wrestling back then. And they had the pay-per-view up at the bar, but I missed it. So one of the employees, who was another big wrestling guy, gave me the tape. Gave me a VCR. He recorded it on VCR tape, on VHS.
Yeah.
And said, and he left a note for me and said, take this home and watch it. He says, a wrestler dies, and it looks like it might be real, but I can't tell.
Yeah.
Because the fact that the show went on made it look like a work, but it wasn't. No. It wasn't. Mm-hmm. He had actually fallen, died. They took him out of the ring, and they kept the pay-per-view going.
Yes.
So it did make it look like a work because of that, and it was not. And so that is the basic story of what happened. And so this episode of Dark Side of the Ring talks about Owen, but a lot about that fall.
Yes.
Too. And I know that gets you worked up.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. But, and what's crazy is, and I'm sure this was probably planned a little bit too, but it would have been, I know we're in the space-time continuum, but it actually happened on May 23rd, which would have been like last Saturday from what what a show we're doing now. So that would have been the 21st anniversary of him. Okay. It was 1999 when he had fallen. But yeah, watching this one, Tim, now there's been a few of these that we've talked about that I knew going in. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to, I want to see him, but I'm going to, it's going to be a little bit hard. And there was a couple that I didn't think were going to be as hard to watch that ended up, one being the Bruiser Brody, King Kong Brody one, that was a tough one, but this, this one was real hard for me, Tim. I mean, only for the fact that, and I don't want to belabor it a whole heck of a lot, but, Tim, I'm not a Vince McMahon guy.
Right.
I never have been, and I never will be, and I consider him a monster. I really do. Maybe a demon. I don't know.
You have an irrational hatred for him like I do for Peyton Manning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't stand him. You just hate him.
No.
Yeah. Even if he does something good, you're like, he still sucks.
Yeah. I don't, only for the fact that, as I got older, I realized why these wrestlers were dying in, overdoses or dying in fucking hotel rooms or backs of cars. And I've always looked at these guys as heroes from the time I was a kid. Now a hero's a subjective, word, what I'm saying? So I looked up to them, as because I enjoyed the show of it all and stuff. And some of these guys are just, as a young kid, when you look at someone who's so vibrant in life and has such attitude and go-getiveness and no, this is who I am and you're not, it's kind of appealing. You know what I mean? That guy's a tough guy, or might inspire you. It could be Hogan. It wasn't for me, but I'm saying whatever. So, it was hard for me when these guys would die, but as I got older and then I figure out these things like, well, man, these guys don't have, they're not like, hockey players or football players, baseball, they don't have insurance. They don't have a players association. They don't have this stuff. I mean, the fact that what blew my mind is these guys don't have insurance. Well, they might have it on their own, but is Vince McMahon paying for? No, hell no. Right. Why not? Why not in this sport? And as much money as I watch Vince McMahon rake in, and I'm no dummy, I see the money that guy made, from the time I was a young kid, selling, I bought me a Jimmy Snuka shirt back in the day. So,
right.
You know what I mean? And supported them and gone to the shows and bought stuff and paid to get in, blah, blah, blah. So I know that guy, and I watched the WWE grow from its little, smaller thing to a huge global conglomerate, you know what I mean? And the thing is, and I don't want to go too far in it, but to me, Vince McMahon, for whatever people think what he did for wrestling, he ruined wrestling for me. He absolutely destroyed it for me, for what I liked about wrestling, how I think wrestling should still be. And I think it's kind of getting back to that. But just even in that Road Warriors one we watched, these guys could go from territory to territory and make money and keep things fresh and everything. But Vince he's like the Borg, okay? He absorbed everything, right? Or the Romans. He just absorbed everything, and that's it. So going into this one, it's going to be a tough one to watch, but I had no idea how hard of a time I would have watching this
Mm-hmm.
episode. Because Owen Hart, I liked Owen Hart. I was a big, humongous Bret Hart fan,
Mm-hmm.
the Hart Foundation, the Hart family. I knew, and you've heard the stories of the Hart Foundation. But Owen Hart, he was different, and I didn't really realize how different until I was really watching this because, it's just, he was a Hart. He was the next thing. But to me, Owen Hart was kind of a plain Jane type of guy, and I don't mean to belittle him or anything, but
right. No, I know what you're saying.
He just didn't have like this. He wasn't, super handsome guy. He
wasn't a permanent gimmick guy. He was like Bret was the hitman. That was it.
Yeah.
Hogan was Hogan.
Yeah.
No matter if he's Hollywood or
Yes.
it didn't matter. He was Hogan.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're Stone Cold. You know what I mean? It's just
He never had a gimmick that stuck real hard. But when he was kind of like the arrogant prick, that worked out pretty well. He was funny too. He was very funny. He was very funny.
When they did the shtick of basically the spoiled brat little brother.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Or not really the spoiled brat brother, but the jealous little brother, which and I could relate to that because I have an older brother and we both played hockey and I'd heard the things, you're not your brother, you're not as good, you'll never be, and I lived in my brother's shadow, so I understood that. So I actually enjoyed that part. I was like, this is great. It worked out perfect for him. It gave him a direction. And then for his brother too, and for his brother's credit, Bret helped Owen out too. And they show it in there where he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to, and from that point on, I really thought, okay, Owen's on his way. I liked the character. He's a great wrestler. He did have some moves that people weren't doing.
He was a really good technical wrestler.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Whereas Bret was a good mat technician.
Yeah.
So was Owen, but Owen did the high flying stuff that was very dangerous to do. And he was not a little guy. He was not a little guy. I mean, he was really doing a lot of high flying stuff. He would have. Yes. He could hold his own with like Eddie Guerrero and all those guys, and go down to Mexico or Japan. He could do it,
And I think he influenced so many more people than I thought. Because they were talking with Chris Jericho on there, and Chris Jericho could not say enough good about him.
Right.
But Jericho being a Canadian boy like the Hearts, of course you're gonna. That's how the Hearts were legend up there.
Absolutely.
So still are. But he could they show the one move, he jumps on the guy's back and backflips off of him some of that stuff I was like, wow, I kind of forgot about that. It's been so long,
I was sitting ringside at a WWE house show, and Owen Hart was wrestling Ken Shamrock. And he had Ken Shamrock in a sharpshooter. Now, they weren't going to submit. He just had him in a move. He was just, it was just a spot they were doing. And so he had him, and he was looking around, and I was, of course, drinking. And punk. I was probably like 23 or something like that. I was a big punk, and I flipped him off. And he saw me. He looked at me. He goes, kiss my ass. Like that. And I go, I just might. Yeah. And then I just left it at that. And we had I had an awkward moment with Owen Hart. He looked at me. I looked at him like, He looked at me like, I don't like you. And I'm like, I know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm a young punk.
I should have let you have the day. I know. I got it, But it was funny. It's the only time I ever had any kind of contact with a wrestler like he was actually wrestling, and it was Owen Hart. And it was real. I mean, my friend was sitting next to me. We were laughing our asses off. Didn't mean nothing at the time. But it sure did later, and that guy took, you're a heel, you understand. He took the time to acknowledge the fact that I was flipping him off. Yeah, and he knew I wasn't flipping off Owen Hart, I was flipping off the character,
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And that actually maybe took a little moment to add a little something else to the match. Because you're like, that little punk, and then people start like, hey, he made fun of this guy. And then they start helping you out.
Right. When they yell, shut up. When they're yelling, shut up, they mean yell.
Yeah.
Shut up. It's like, no. Yeah. I mean, so, it's hard for me because, Kansas City, that's my other home. I always call it my other home. I haven't been there. I've only been there a couple of times in the last, 20 years or something, but spent a lot of time there playing music. As far as Fragile Porcelain Mice goes, it was kind of our little sister city. We recorded an album there, lived there while we were recording it. Ultraman plays there, or in Lawrence. quite often. Actually, we were supposed to play this summer in Lawrence. I don't think that's going to be happening. But
yeah, not now. Yeah.
no. Some guys get hurt doing moves in the ring.
Yeah.
This was a really avoidable
Yes.
thing. It's so difficult to wrap your head around because it's so avoidable.
Yes.
It's so dangerous. And to be honest with you, Harley, I never thought that the thing on the ropes was that exciting to me. I mean, Sting did it once and it was cool, but like when they started doing it, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's like, I don't know. To me, it was sort of a waste of time and effort to try to get the thing going anyway.
It is, yeah.
I mean, but then, and they never really solved what happened. I mean, you hear them talking about it, and there was a latch on it that wasn't correct.
Yeah.
They wanted to be able to go down and then immediately unlatch the latch.
At least,
not take a few seconds to undo it, which is a safe way to do it.
It didn't look as clunky. And
yes, so it didn't look as right.
2 seconds.
Right.
Which, that's the whole thing. Like, so the whole thing with this, Tim, they're trying to make fun of Sting, and then so what they do with Owen, they reinvent or bring back the Blue Blazer,
right?
Bring him back, and they want to just basically make fun of Sting, blah blah blah. But with the whole thing is, I don't really think Owen was too keen on the whole thing, but he's gonna do like the one thing that they show on this whole thing, Timo, that upset me more than anything. This guy was a good person.
Yeah.
I didn't know him personally, but what they were showing, he was a family man, and his thing was, I love wrestling, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life in wrestling. I want to do what I can for my family, get out while I can.
Right.
And have a good life.
Which is why he took all the stupid gimmicks. He didn't care. It wasn't a long-term thing for him. He was I think he was doing it to make his family happy.
Yes.
I mean, his family, not his wife and stuff, his dad, his brothers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then here's the thing, too. He was there, for the Montreal screw job. He saw his brother get completely shit on in front of national television and be just brought down to his knees, basically, by Vince McMahon because he didn't want to bow down. Now, I've heard before he would have done whatever he needed, Bret Hart would have, for, to make things good. But Vince McMahon pulled that scam. We don't need to go down that road. Yeah. But there you have Owen Hart in the ring with his brother, consoling him. Don't worry about it. You tell him, don't worry about it. Let's just, get out of the ring. Let's go. So he stays around to still honor his contract.
Right.
And then they dress him up as the Blue Blazer to do this stuff.
Right.
Okay. So like you're saying before, they had this harness, and they had people that had done all these different things. It was a professional company that was doing the harnessing for him. So, but like sometimes it was clunky. The one time he came down, he couldn't get out of it, and it was kind of stupid. So then they thought, well, let's do this other angle and it wasn't even this clip was used for sailboats. It wasn't even used for what they were using.
It wasn't intended for a person to be on it. Yes, that's correct.
They did not have the people that were supposed to be doing this for him, right?
Right.
So this match, he's supposed to be taking on the Godfather. He's 80 feet in the air, 80 feet above the damn Jumbotron in this building. They put him out on this thing, and as soon as he went out there, it was done. He was over because they said it only took like so many pounds of pressure for that latch to fucking pop open, right? Mm-hmm. So you're saying this is a pay-per-view. They're getting ready everything to happen, and all of a sudden, I think the person that saw it happen, some of the people in the crowd, but was Jerry Lawler. Mm-hmm. Jerry Lawler bumps JR, and JR said by the time I looked up, boom, he saw Blur go by. And there was a referee in the ring, and the ref said, something grazed my head and then hit the ropes, and my hand come popping up off the ropes, and I look over, and there's Owen Hart. And like they said, he fell. And this is also a testament to what a good person this guy was. He's fallen to his death, and he's yelling, "Look out!
Right.
Look out!"
Right.
And then he falls and dies in the ring.
And he knew he was going to die. Yeah, he knew. But he was telling people to look out. Yeah, he was telling people to look out so that he didn't hurt anybody else on his way down.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I don't ever want to see that, Tim. I don't ever want to see the footage. I don't want to see anything, but as this show went on, I started to get more and more upset. I mean, to the point where I'm crying, my legs shaking, because first off, there's no reason, like you said, there's no reason for this to have ever happened. There's absolutely none. They didn't have him synced up. They didn't have the people helping. They had some guy out there that had no idea what he was doing. He wasn't So then Owen goes up there, and then goes off, falls and dies. They basically, get him out of the ring, and then the show goes on. Then they tell JR, well, in his headset, he's dead. Okay, 10, 9, 8,
right.
7.
They told him, they told him right before, he said it,
we're going right back in there.
Yeah. And so
here, him and Lawler, and I'm a big Jerry Lawler fan, but I'm not a Jerry Lawler fan for his last so many years in the WWE were a joke to me because he was a joke. All his things were just dumb. He became a character that was dumb, and I didn't like it. But to sit there and watch Jerry Lawler completely speechless and white as a ghost sitting there with, it's awful. So basically, Tim, what you got there is a crime scene. No. Let's keep going on with the show. Let's go on with the show. And what upsets me more than anything is here are guys who actually, this was their friend.
Right.
And you have to go out there and wrestle in a ring that is broken because the guy fell. It broke the ring. There's blood in the ring from him. And you still have to go out there and wrestle? Oh, no, man. It just, the thing to make I know the show goes on, Tim. I understand that. But I have been at a wrestling show when a guy got hurt and the show did not go on because the guy was hurt and the ambulance had to come and get him. I didn't even want to see wrestling anymore. And I'm a fan of all the heavy blood and the big moves and the chairs over the head. I was sick to my stomach. I didn't want to see it go on. I could only imagine being there and watching a guy fall from the ceiling and die in the ring and bullshit. No way. No way. So the show goes on. And Tim, what upset me more than anything is they kept going on. And you know what? I say God bless his wife because his wife really came to his aid after all this because something had to be done. Something went wrong, and someone needs to answer for what went wrong. All right? She goes there to Kansas City, and just watching those photos, like the police photos of it afterwards, made me sick. And then they show the shot from up above from where he fell. It was a long ways down, and you can see in the ring where the blood was and where he fell. And it made me absolutely sick to my stomach. Right. Like, holy shit. This guy, and like his son said, my dad is a testament to what he would do for our family. The lack of respect for the wrestlers, for human life, for the people that are making you the money, to me, for Vince McMahon is sickening. And then he has the balls or the audacity to sue Owen Hart's wife for what? What are you suing her for? For her son, her son and daughter not having a father anymore? You suing it? Why? And she was awarded $18 million, and God bless, she should have got every cent of that money. And you know what? And Vince McMahon should have lost out on a lot more, and the WWE should have lost out on a hell of a lot more than that.
Well, let me just hold on. Let me ask you a question because it's something that I'm curious about personally, and I'm legit curious about this. Bret Hart didn't have a lot of love lost for Vince McMahon.
No.
Bret Hart was the one guy in the world of professional wrestling, the one guy who would not do what he said. He would go out on public TV. I will never forget the time we were watching Raw. And Bret Hart came out and cussed out and started off by grabbing the mic, looking down at McMahon and yelling, "This is fucking bullshit." And that was a shoot because it wasn't edited, it wasn't bleeped, it was live, and Hart knew it. And he went up there and this was not the Screwjob thing. Nobody talks about this. Nobody seems to remember it, but it was on live television. And we were watching it. And then we used to record it and go back. And I went back and we watched it and we looked at each other and this was before the internet, folks. So some of the stuff we're talking about, like when I didn't know if Owen Hart really died, there was no internet. So unless you had it on like the TV news, you didn't know. There was no internet. There was no direct pipeline information, be it correct or not. So we didn't know. And so we looked at each other. Now, so Bret Hart was just not a guy to do it. No. So answer me this, because I am curious about this. Okay. Now, I think that McMahon definitely has responsibility in this. I'm not saying don't get my question wrong.
No.
Okay. My question is, why did Bret Hart come back? Because he did come back.
Here's the thing. This is the whole thing too with the Hart family thing. Even while his wife was trying to sue Vince McMahon, part of the Hart family was going against her. They were also trying, and that's what blows my mind too, and also made me just as upset about the whole thing, because do you people owe that much allegiance to that man that you would sacrifice your son and would not care about, well, she wanted more money. Well, fuck, do you think she deserves? He was put in a position because Vince McMahon or whoever else, Vince or whoever else in the building or whoever else is running that company with him, thought it was better to put him out there so he could save 2 minutes and didn't look so clunky. How clunky did it look when he hit the mat from falling from 80 feet? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How clunky did that look?
I get that. I get that. What I'm asking. That's what I'm
saying. And I don't want to go too conspiracy either, Tim, but here's the other thing. So Vince gets spit on by Bret Hart. He gets WCW written on the thing and in the air. He's writing WCW and he punches Vince McMahon out. He destroys a bunch of shit. And then his brother dies. Now, did someone kill his brother? I don't know. I don't think so. But would I put it past that smarmy piece of crap? No, I would not.
It crossed my mind too when that happened. It was odd that Owen was. It was odd that Owen was still there. That Bret was gone. And then it was odd to me that Owen died.
Bret came back. But he shouldn't have gone. But that, to me, I wouldn't. I mean, no way. But then there's also the other thing that I also respect by his wife, and they don't like this, I don't think either, because she's trying to erase, him from wrestling, which they don't think he would want to be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But still, I would not want my wife, husband, whatever's, or brother, sister's name glorified by the company that killed him.
Right? They don't. No she won't let him get inducted in the Hall of Fame.
No, and I wouldn't. I would not want that. Why?
Right.
For what?
I get all of that. I think my problem, not a problem, but the curiosity in me is like just knowing human nature. Yeah. Like just knowing people and human nature and stuff. So it's like, it's just, for one thing, for Owen to stay, how bad of a screw job was that, and how temperamental was Bret? And how much did his brother, who grew up with them, understand what was going on there, where he knew Bret was pissed. He knew that it was dirty pool, but Owen looked to me like Owen said, yeah, that's wrestling. This is what we do. This is the thing. So the question I have was how willing and how much did Owen want to do that? And when I remember when Owen came down on the rope and it was hard for him to take off the harness. I thought it was funny. I thought it helped his character. Yeah. I thought it made it more comical. I think it embarrassed Owen. And Owen, I think, was tired of being embarrassed by these goofy gimmicks. And I think there was this one of those moments where he didn't need to be embarrassed, but he was. So how much of it was Vince not protecting people in spite of themselves, which you should do as a boss also. You're in charge of stuff. I get that. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I totally buy it. But how much was Owen a part of it too? And these are the questions that don't really seem to be answered. And then because the reason I ask those questions is because Bret just was such a stubborn fuck, just like Vince, I mean, almost to a fault, I think. At some point, it became uncomfortable. I didn't even want to see Bret Hart anymore because I was so tired of him just bringing the dirty laundry out to the stick, where it almost became his character. I'm gonna explode kayfabe. Yeah, and I got a little tired of that too. Now, when he came out and he started yelling, "This is fucking bullshit," that was the first time I ever saw him do it. I was like, "Wow, what the hell?" They erased that from history. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you were watching that night or not. I might
have, but back then.
It was at the very end of a Raw episode, okay? It was at the very, very end. And it wasn't clear as to why Bret Hart even came out to the ring. It was a run out. He didn't beat anybody. He didn't run out for any reason. He ran up and he got a microphone and just started yelling at Vince and cussed him out on live TV. It was uncomfortable. It was real. I mean, it was real. You know the difference. It was fucking real. Yeah. And so if it wasn't real, we would still be talking about it. We'd still be talking about it. But nobody knows who didn't see it, and some people probably forgot, don't care. But I remember because I was very sensitive to edited for television movies. Yeah. So I knew you can't say on TV and stuff like that. And when I heard cussing like that on television, I knew it was real.
Right.
And because it was not good for the WWF, WWE, or the censors to be cussing on TV. They knew better. They already had problems with Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff, so they knew better. So my thought process always makes me wonder. I'm not saying Vince is any better a person or not, but as far as that one single event and him doing that, what was the real damn story? And I think it's what his wife wanted, and she never got. I think that's what she wanted. I think the family might have known something like, well, Owen wasn't against this. Like, Owen wanted it. Yeah. I mean, so who knows what happened? What bothers me is that your opinion on this or your take on it is just as legit as what I'm saying, because we don't know. Because we don't know. I don't disagree that Vince is a jackass.
I know.
Don't get me wrong.
Here's my thing, Tim. Yeah. I'm here we go. This is the thing. I call a duck, and that guy is a fucking duck, man. I've seen Tim. I've been a wrestling fan for 45 or more years. My oldest memory in my life is being at a wrestling match with my older brother. Now, I'm not saying I know anything more than anybody else about wrestling, but I just know, and I've watched that guy from afar for so long, and I've seen him screw people over and over, and most of these people. These wrestlers, now not all of them are great people, but a lot of them are like, this was my job. I finished my contract out, and when I was done, I was done. And I respect these guys for that. Now, I can also imagine if these guys said, no, I'm not doing that, what Vince McMahon would do to you, or how you would get sued, or how he would take you to the cleaners and you'd never work again. You know what I'm saying? That guy is a kingpin, Tim. That's all I have to say about him. He is a kingpin. He knows what he's doing. He has screwed more lives than anybody I've ever just about been or seen. And this is the thing. Now, if my New Jersey Devils had a general manager that, the players were getting hurt and people were dying and screwing them out of this and this, that, and the other thing, I don't think I could be a fan of the New Jersey Devils. I don't think I could be a fan of hockey if people were treated, and I know they are. It's big business, but also at least these people have some sort of somebody to stand behind them. These wrestlers don't, man. They don't. I don't have agents, or they've been screwed, or they signed contracts with this guy, and he knows exactly what he has, what he can do with people. And if you don't do what he's going to do, he's going to shit on you. I've had it, Tim. I mean, this guy is one of my.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree with your assumption, with your take on McMahon.
I just don't think he's a good person, Tim. I don't think maybe he is deep down or something. Or maybe he's.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I agree 100% with what you're saying. Like, so don't misunderstand me. I agree 100% with everything you're saying. My only question, I think it's maddening because we don't know the answer to it.
Sure.
Is what was Owen's part in it?
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming, don't get me wrong. That wife needs to be paid money because of income she's lost because of a stunt she was doing there. That's called insurance. That's called being a decent person, helping out a wife. For God's sake, they hired Eddie Guerrero's wife as a character after he passed, to do something, which I don't know if I found that in good taste, or maybe she wanted to. She might have wanted. She might have been more ambitious than and she seemed like it, than we understand her thing too. So my question, which really bothers me, and I think it is what his wife wanted to know. Like, I know you're a piece of shit. What mistakes did Owen make? Because before I take your ass to the cleaners, I want to know, did he want to do that? Was it his, and I'm not saying Vince tried to stop him. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Vince's job is to say, no, you're not doing that because you're not dying on my watch, dude. I'm not going to, even if he's a dickhole, it's like, I'm not going to court again over your fucking carcass. I'm not doing it. You're putting on the fucking harness. It's funny to people. Fuck off. Get up there and do it. That's the same Vince McMahon we're both talking about. But it's just maddening to me what actually. And they don't know. They don't know exactly what happened up there. I never heard something that was satisfactory to me. I don't think there's anything satisfactory to his wife. I just think, I know the money wasn't, no matter how much money, it's never going to take the place of a human. We both know that, and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm just asking those questions too. And the reason, it just seems, you're right about Vince. So it seems odd that the person who is even tougher on Vince than you are would come back after that because he loved Owen.
Well, I was surprised that he wasn't even on this thing like that. And I was surprised that he wasn't on.
I was too. And I don't know if I've seen Bret on this at all. And maybe Bret is so old school, he just doesn't he still believes in the kayfabe stuff. Sure. Now, he's the guy that comes out and starts shooting all the time, So I don't understand. But Harley, do not get me wrong. I know what you feel about Vince, and it doesn't change. Vince is Vince. I'm not trying to change. I am not disputing Vince is not a good person. Do not get me wrong. But that does not mean that there was other things that Owen did wrong. And I don't know that. I don't know what Owen did wrong and stuff. And it's not that I'm arguing with you. It bothers me like the Patterson footage bothers me. It bothers me like I can't, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Or was he walking up there and slipped off the scaffolding?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. He shouldn't have been up there. Fine. I don't disagree with that. But he went up there more than once.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. So he knew how to get up. But it bothers me. The guy didn't need to die. That's why I'm saying it was so avoidable on so many levels that it's maddening. And it is frustrating. It definitely is. And it's sad. It's sad. I mean, universally, we can say it's sad. It's absolutely sad. It did not have to happen. And I don't think Owen would have wrestled forever. I think he would have been like The Rock. He would have popped back in every now and then. But I think Owen had a push that would have been huge because he's so funny naturally. Yeah. The more he's told you how great he was, the funnier he was. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I like that. He had 10 times the charisma and personality that Bret had.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I like Bret too. You're right. He was a hitman. He was dark. Yeah. He was just, So he was like, he prided himself on being the best there ever was, okay, fine. But his character, he got mad too because his character didn't fit when the WWE took wrestling into more of a pop culture direction. That's what you don't like, and that's what makes you sore. And I know that. And Bret Hart didn't fit into that world very well. And to be quite frank with you, Owen didn't either character wise or gimmick wise, but he had the personality for it. He was funny. Sure. So all I'm saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm with you on Vince. Whether or not I'm a little more forgiving on some things or not, I still want to. And I'm never going to know. This is not going to be an answer. I'm just explaining my frustration with this whole story. And the one thing that I will never forgive Vince for is for the show going on.
Yeah,
I won't ever.
Crime scene, it's a damn crime.
Well,
scene,
and that's true too. I don't think they were thinking that. I think it was but I think that the lapse in moral judgment there. The crime scene part of it highlights that, where not only was it in poor taste, it was pretty much illegal.
Yes.
To keep the show going on. So I don't disagree with you. But Harley, what I also don't disagree with, and you can't, is that we're running long on time. We need to get to our Fishmen film.
Right, my friend. Yeah, we have to. And a good one at that.
Yes.
Well, I think we both have a little different take on
it. Here we go. So our official little film for this week is the 1979 film Island of the Fishmen, or the 1981 American release known as Screamers, or the American release before Screamers that was titled Something Waits in the Dark. We are dealing with a fussed-with movie, Mr. Ben.
A plethora of titles.
Yes, a fussed-with movie. So here's the deal. So Harley watched Island of the Fishmen.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched Screamers. Which we're going to go into this here in a minute. So let me get out Movie Guy here because it's got the same plot line synopsis thing here. So let me get out Movie Guy, give you a quick one sentence thing that ain't going to help you out at all. But let's stick with protocol. So let's give you a little storyline here for Screamers, Island of the Fishmen, Something Waits in the Dark. Here we go.
Yeah.
Aquatic creatures threaten the existence of a mysterious island. Okay.
That's it?
Yes, aquatic creatures threaten the existence.
That's it?
No, I don't really think the creatures were threatening the existence of the island as a whole.
Yeah.
Maybe the living creatures that lived on said island, possibly. So, okay, so this movie was called Island of the Fishmen. It was an Italian film that came out, I think, in 1979. And then it was directed by Sergio Martino. who directed Menaja, or A Man Called Blade, which is a good spaghetti western. All the Colors of Dark, really famous. Giallo. Let's see here. He did a sequel to this in 1995, believe it or not, called The Fishmen and Their Queen.
Oh, okay.
And of course, we have my favorite, 1981's Cream Horn. Okay, we'll just leave that there. Yeah. So Sergio Martino, he is one of those guys. He's an Italian, director guy. So he makes this movie, Island of the Fishmen. Roger Corman gets a hold of it.
Yeah. So I can do something with this.
Well, he wanted to make it more into a horror film. Because what you had with Island of the Fishmen, Harley, which is what you watched, the cut you watched, you have a cross between the Island of Dr. Moreau and I guess some Humanoids of the Deep or Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah, got a little bit of those going on. But what you have is more of, it feels more like a Doug McClure adventure. Right?
Yes.
Like People Time Forgot or something with Fishmen instead of zombie stuff. What I watched was a little bit more of a horror film because what happened is Corman had his employee guy, whatever, by the name of Miller Drake. Okay, he's a visual effects guy. Worked on The Abyss, The Sixth Day. He actually directed part of Piranha 2 also. Who didn't though, right?
Yeah.
So he shot an opening, for like 10 minutes. And the opening is, Mel Ferrer and Cameron Mitchell. The two guys you'd call when you needed somebody, right?
Yeah, when you really need.
Yeah. So they bring a young lady, which you also need one of those, to an island and go into a cave. And the cave has all kinds of like gooey skeletons and things in it. And we have basically a 10-minute monster movie. Okay. With fish monsters and monster fish in this cave, and they're ripping the heads off of like Mel Ferrer and tearing throats out and doing stuff like that. And then after that sequence, then it edits right to a bunch of people on a boat, on like a life raft, which is where Island of the Fishmen starts, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Island of the Fishmen is about an hour and 40 minutes long, right?
Yeah, exactly, like 138 or something.
Okay, yeah. So Screamers, which is the eventual American title, Screamers, is only an hour and 21 minutes with about 15 minutes added.
Okay.
So I missed some stuff that you saw, and I saw stuff you didn't see. So what we're going to do is talk about, we're talking about the same movie pretty much. But there's going to be differences that we're going to discuss here. So what happened was after Corman, after Corman got the movie, he had actually it was Joe Dante and a couple other people re-edit and basically help film that stuff, including a Creature from the Black Lagoon, almost a dead ringer for the Creature from Black Lagoon. That later in the film, that the Jose character is turning into a creature. Yes. I don't know what you saw, but what I saw was done in Joe Dante's garage, and it looked just like Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, this one kind of looked. It was weird. It looked like I don't know. It was a weird looking thing, but yeah, it was.
So that was a different shot. So that was inserted instead of the Italian effect. They put the American. So there's little things like that. But mostly it's the 10-minute beginning that's different. So they added 10 minutes to the beginning and then trimmed about 20 minutes or more off of what you saw.
Yeah, because it was a little. I mean, then it was funny because that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is about 20 minutes too long, just a little bit. I mean, because it's okay, but it was like, you probably could have trimmed this down and made it a little tighter, and it would have seemed like a faster paced movie.
Well, and that's what happened. So Joe Dante did some of that. Now it's still tanked. They released it as Something Waits in the Dark, and they only released it like in a few theaters, but it tanked really bad. So Corman was like, this isn't working, So Jim Wynorski, the director who ended up doing Chopping Mall, if that helps at all. So that guy was working for Corman at the time and said, let me do something with this and see if we can make our money back on it. So he shot a trailer for it, which had like a monster chasing his girlfriend around a laboratory. That had nothing to do with the movie at all, and said, "Screamers, you will see a man turned inside out while alive." And that's what it said. So they made this trailer, and they put the trailer out, and they re-released this movie as what it was finally known as in 1981 as Screamers. Okay. So then they released it, and then Corman kept getting phone calls from distributors, and therefore Wynorski got a call like, the people saw the trailer and then saw the movie. You're going to have to edit that trailer into the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a moment where the main guy in the movie,
Yeah.
okay, Claudio Casanelli, his name is, all right,
Yeah.
where he opens a door. And then when he opens the door, they just inserted like these little pieces of the trailer in, and he closes the door, and then it's over. To say this was stitched together, is an insult to things that are stitched together. All right, to be honest with you. So,
Right.
But you saw a more coherent, pieced together version of Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
I saw a hoard up and gored up big time.
Okay.
Lots of gore, like melting faces and things like that and stuff. Version of it.
Okay.
Okay, so
Now, what was that on? Is that on Amazon or something? Or
Screamers, I have a Blu-ray.
You have a different version.
I have I have what I sent you, the DVDs of Island of the Fishmen. I have that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got the Blu-ray of Screamers. I thought Screamers Blu-ray had the Italian cut on it as well.
Okay.
But either way, I was going to watch Screamers so we could compare and contrast. It's the same movie.
Sure, yeah.
Mine's just added a couple characters at the beginning. They don't have anything to do with the rest of it.
Right.
Okay. Except there's one little scene they added. Okay, so let me backtrack. This is probably people listening right now are probably tuning out in droves. Like, I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about. What are fish screamers and fish
What is
people?
going on?
Yeah. So my version I watched started off with Mel Ferrer and Cameron Mitchell. It's basically like seafaring people coming to an island. This all takes place like in the late 1800s or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, and then they get killed off. And then it shoots to these guys who are in a life raft, a boat. And it's from a prison ship.
Yes.
And
well, no, I don't. Is it a prison?
I thought it was a prison ship. I actually did think it was a prison ship. And so the main guy, the Dr. Dashing Dimples, the Italian Stacy Keach, the Claudio Casanello character, the Lieutenant Claude De Rossi or whatever. Actually, he played Zeus in the 1983 Hercules. So,
really?
Yeah, he's got some spaghetti in his resume too.
Yeah, he's been around.
But I think he was like a doctor lieutenant, like for the prison. For the prison, I think. So I think this is actually those are prisoners with them. I think, which is why they were going to let him die in one scene. Okay. So that's what I thought. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. So, anyway, so the boat. What does it hit? What happens to it? Something happens.
They get attacked actually by the fish.
That's right.
And then
right. So they're floating along.
Yeah,
and
they
get
end
attacked.
I don't know, just a beat or
like some rocks before the beach.
And they get knocked out of the boat, and then most of them all end up on the island.
Right.
The ones that don't get attacked by the.
So a lot like the beginning of Island of Dr. Moreau, or even The Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah. Yep.
A little bit like that, where there's a ship and some of the people die, some of the people make it to shore. Okay, well, another thing that Corman edited in was another survivor from that. Okay. And that survivor gets killed by a fishman and discovers the girl from the beginning, like melty faced. Like she'd been killed by fishmen. So they're trying to make the fishmen and screamers more like monsters on the island.
Yeah.
As opposed to experiments, which is what they are. No, it's not covering up the experiments and stuff. It's just making you kind of go in that direction where these monsters are monsters.
Sure.
They're on the island or whatever. So anyway, just like an Island of Dr. Moreau, the people who survive the shipwreck and all that, and the attack by the monsters out in the water, they think they're going to be safe on land, I suppose. So they explore the island. And who did they come across but Barbara Bach? Now, Mr. Ben Harley, I know a lot about my friend Harley. I know a lot about him. And I know one thing, that if he was shipwrecked on an island, made his way through the jungle, and Barbara Bach approached him on a horse, Mr. Harley, and I quote, Harley would say, "Hallelujah, my luck has changed."
Yes, my luck my ship has come in. Wait, what?
There you go. So, okay. So therefore, Barbara Bach. So the main character guys, they put the survivors. They follow basically Barbara Bach back to where she came from, and of course, who do we find residing?
Richard Johnson.
Again, we're on a Richard Johnson freak out. We're on a double phallic freak out.
Yeah, we are.
So, he plays the character of Edmund Rackham.
Yeah. And he, talk about a dickhole.
Oh.
He's a dickhole on this.
I actually wrote down awesome, smarmy dickhole. That's exactly
he's good. Yeah.
He's good at
he's
a good dick.
He's good in this. Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have Joseph Cotton is looming around the place as Professor Ernest Marvin.
Yes.
He's kind of moving about on the periphery of the film until toward the end, or whatever. So, yeah, we have the Island of Dr. Moreau. They make it back, and they take whatever hospitality from Richard Johnson they can. Everything's real mysterious. What's going on the island?
It's all cryptic, very cryptic, very. Yeah, and also too with the Barbara Bach and Richard Johnson's relationship, you're like, what is her? But then you find out basically it's her father, that's been doing this, so that's why she's there and trying to, But he likes her. He likes her, but then he also likes to menace her. I think.
Right.
Johnson,
yeah. So that's what we got, so then when the I guess the main character, the Lieutenant Claude or whatever, DeRosie. He starts investigating, figuring out what's going on, and then he becomes, I guess, the hero of the film, trying to escape or whatnot, or what have you.
And and Tim, like this, I kind of really like this movie. And I know I'm going to say the same thing. I like needed a little bit more Fishmen, but then there's like parts where you get a lot of it, and then they're gone for a while. But it's just kind of like I was saying before, it's almost 20 minutes too long. There's just a little bit too much. And then you come to find out like it's the lost city of Atlantis or something under there.
Yes.
And then at that point I was like, oh, geez, I don't really know,
Yeah,
but
right. So they're used, the Fishmen are basically, which is a lot of work.
Yes.
to go like ransack treasures from Atlantis just to create Fishmen to do it instead of just getting somebody that can hold their breath for a while.
And there's supposed to be like remnants of, right? Yeah. They were supposed to be remnants. And I'm like, well, wait a sec.
They threw the Atlantis thing in there. Yeah. So
Tim, if we go underwater, you and I, if Toledo goes underwater and I'm the lost city of Toledo, do I going to turn into a fish man, you think? Or I'm pretty sure I'm going to drown first. I think I'm going to drown.
I hope so, but I'm still not having sex with you, so I don't care.
Right. Oh,
there was a little bit of that. There was some uncomfortable. The Fishmen, they liked some Barbara Bach. And I was no, this is like a seminal fish sex movie in a way.
Yes, there was a part where she was surrounded by fishmen in this little weird I was like, whoa, kiss the Fishman?
It's hard for me to imagine though that Roger Corman didn't get a hold of this in '79 and release it as Something Waits in the Dark, and then somehow in between the times when Wynorski cut the good trailer and actually re-released it as Screamers, and it did do well then. After that, but it's like it seems to me somebody wanted to call a redo. And they did Humanoids from the Deep instead. And instead of crossing Creature from the Black Lagoon with Island of Dr. Moreau, they crossed it with Jaws.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that it seems to me that logic would say that something like that happened. And if it didn't happen, it would go a long way to explain what the hell we're talking about. Because it is an Italian movie that's been re-edited, basically by Joe Dante. And then there was a trailer made that was completely fake for it by Jim Wynorski, and they finally made some money on the damn thing after they spliced a bunch of gore in and stuff. People wanted a horror movie. I don't think they really wanted another Island of Dr. Moreau thing. And when you take the monsterness out of the Fishmen, the more you do it, the more you take me out of the film a little bit too. What Corman did is he put the monster back into the Fishmen a little bit. Now you're saying that you did watch the Italian version, which is pretty much a straight Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
I mean, you still enjoyed it, though. You were enjoying it, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed most all of it. The ending, like the whole, the whole Atlantis thing was a little hokey. Because it just went on and on, for a little bit. Then her father comes back, and then we get introduced to him and his backstory, and then, and like, well, is he a good guy or bad? Then he ends up kind of bad, and then it was just a lot of like, and then what's his name? Richard Johnson just goes through killing everybody, man, like shooting everybody, all the people that were helping him, and then he basically gets the Fishmen to get the treasure. But then the Fishmen say "F you" at that part, and they just start causing all sorts of havoc, man, which is good. But like, it was really cool because a really cool scene, with the monsters. But there's like this real hokey, and it was in my head all night too, and I can't remember it, which I'm glad. It was a real hokey like theme while the fight was going on. I'm like, man, if they could have just changed that to something a little spookier or even less funny sounding, it probably would have given it more because. I think the fish guys, they look pretty cool for the most part. I mean, I know what it is, but then I could, they're full on. Like, they don't, like, hesitate. And then when they're in the water, they look really cool. And, like, when they're swimming, like, like they look really pretty cool.
Well, in Screamers, they have different kinds of monsters in them, too. They have a couple different kinds. So it even mixes it up a little bit. I think Corman thought that the Fishmen could be a little scarier. Is what he was saying. And so what they did is they designed something a little scarier. But, it kind of...
Because they look like piranhas with heads.
They do look like...
Guys with piranha heads. Or whatever.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's like you said, it's not like... For an Italian film with the effects and stuff, look better than Devilfish. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you have that right.
Right. So... But the thing is I really, and here's another homework assignment for you. I really want you to track down You can probably, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or something. Yeah. Track down Screamer Zone, watch it. It's only an hour and a half tops. I think it's actually an hour and 20 minutes long. So they cut 20 minutes. Actually cut 30 minutes probably out because they added 10 minutes of American stuff. Well, actually 15. So there's a lot of stuff cut out of the Italian one. I have seen Island of the Fishmen. I have seen it. I think you would enjoy this more. I really do. Okay. I think you would. I think you would enjoy it more. I think it's more of a horror film. The opening is fun. The opening is really fun. It's one of the highlights of the film, and that's what's added. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So basically, I think. What are you going to give Island of the Fishmen?
I'm going to give it a great Bape Up. But I enjoyed it.
Solid, just regular, or
solid. No, solid. I think if it was 20 minutes less, I'd probably give it to the rafters. I just think it was a little too long. You know what I mean? Like it just the last 20 minutes was sort of taxing, except for like the scene, the good monster scene there. Where they're fighting Richard Johnson and his native, bodyguards and stuff, and all that was really kind of cool. But it just was like, okay, man, we could have cut out a lot of stuff. Man. It was just kind of like, just. But I liked it, Tim. I thought it was a pretty fun movie.
I'm gonna give it.
I love the poster art for it. Oh, I want a poster of that, man. Like, even the monsters look good.
Right. Well, I'm gonna give it a mild Great Bape Up, and I'm not insulting. This is mild Great Bape Up. I still think that you would enjoy Screamers more.
Probably,
It's tighter. It has more horror in it, more gore, more killing in it, and I mean, it's more entertaining. I think. I have a ball watching Richard Johnson be such a cocksucker too. I mean,
he's great in it, man. He is really good. He knocks it out of the park. I think in it. Man.
Yeah,
really
he's a dickhole. He's a total dick. So, I didn't think I would like it quite as much. Now I don't know if I would. I don't know about Island of the Fishmen. I don't know if I would be able to hang with it as much as you did, But then again, you like the Fishman thing a little bit more than I do, and I'm not saying I don't like.
I'm a humanoid. I don't know, the humanoid from the deep.
And I like that movie, but it's not. You like Mark Diamond, like have a special place for it, where I put, where I put Orca or something, I don't have that same experience. With this that you guys do. But on the other hand, though, this was it was interesting. But I still want you to watch the American one. So basically, you're going to give the Italian version a solid Great Bape Up.
I enjoyed it. I mean, 20 minutes less, I really would have enjoyed it a lot more. Okay. I would have. It just was, about 18 minutes too long.
And I'm going to give Screamers a mild Great Bape Up. But keep in mind, though, that Ollie's going to like this a little bit more than me. So we're giving Great Bapes Up either way.
Yeah.
But check out Screamers.
And I think because of the like you said, the Island of Dr. Moreau kind of effect and Humanoids for me just made me feel more, I guess, comfortable. I didn't like this near as much as I liked those other two, but I still feel maybe that's probably why I liked it a little bit.
Well,
more.
it's a fairly sophisticated and well-made film, especially for an Italian film. It's not bad, and I think that
could have used a few more boobies in it, but that's just me.
And they did not have a lot of that, and that was on purpose. That was actually on purpose. So they didn't want to do a whole lot of any of that. So for whatever reason,
they did on the poster art.
That's the poster art. So all right,
it's like, whoa, man, is this a centerfold? What the hell?
Right. So there's your differences and reviews of Island of Fishmen and Screamers. Yeah. Take your pick. Harley, I really want you to see Screamers. Maybe report back if you get a chance while you're printing or something. Throw that on the old YouTube or something.
Sure.
And,
that'd be fun.
Check that out. You might actually have a cut of that on the disc I gave you. I don't know. I don't remember what I gave you.
I'll look at the one. Maybe if it's on the one that you sent me, maybe it's got both versions.
Yeah, it might. It might. So, all right. So let's get out of here, Mr. Ben Harley. I don't know exactly what we're doing next week. It's going to be brilliant. And it'll be available next week, just like normal.
Yes.
So until then, all you deep thinkers, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim Owen Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.